For the first time in 2009, World Championship Boxing is back on the air. We got a brand new look and a captivating show for you tonight from a jam-packed Staples Center with a record crowd in Los Angeles. Antonio Margarito, widely regarded as the best welterweight in the world, takes on Shane Mosley, returning to the site of his greatest night, a thrilling split decision victory over Oscar De La Hoya nearly 10 years ago. Since losing to Paul Williams in July of 2007, Antonio Margarito has been on a tear, culminating in 2008 with his bruising Fight of the Year candidate 11th round TKO over Miguel Cotto. This is Margarito's first bout since then, taking on a future boxing Hall of Famer. Shane Mosley has had a career resurrection since losses to Winky Wright and Bernard Forrest. In Mosley's last fight, he outlasted Ricardo Mayorga at 154 pounds. But tonight, in moving back down to 147, Mosley believes he's at his optimal fighting weight. We'll see if it's enough against Margarito about 15 minutes from now. And a look at a crowd of 20,820, which breaks the record for Staples Center. Bigger than any Laker crowd, bigger than any rock and roll or country music or R&B crowd, bigger than any political crowd. The largest crowd ever here. Hello again, everybody. I'm Jim Lampley. We bring you to the summit of the welterweight division tonight to see one of the genuine superstar fighters of last year, Antonio Margarito, trying to solidify his position of supremacy in that division against Shane Mosley, one of the great veterans of the sport. Quickly, let's take a look at the glitterati of the welterweight division, maybe the most loaded in boxing. The three belt holders, Margarito, Andre Berto, whom you saw barely winning a title defense against Luis Collazo last week, and Joshua Clottey. And on the same page with them in the discussion for top welterweight in the world, Shane Mosley, coming off his knockout victory over Ricardo Mayorga, and Miguel Cotto, who was unbeaten before being defrocked last July by Margarito. And just to gild the lily on this division and show you how loaded it can be, Manny Pacquiao, in his annihilation of Oscar De La Hoya in December, was fighting as a welterweight. Paul Williams, who beat Margarito 2 years ago, has now moved up. In his next fight, he'll fight as a middleweight, but his promoters insist he can still come back down and fight as a 6'2", 147-pound fighter. And Floyd Mayweather, currently retired from his perch as the previous #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the sport. If Floyd Mayweather were to choose to return to boxing, the expectation is it is most likely he would return as a welterweight. What a weight class. Let's turn to HBO boxing analyst Larry Merchant for more on that. Larry, Antonio Margarito proved so much in his beatdown of Miguel Cotto last summer that he is, shockingly to some, an overwhelming 4-1 betting favorite to win this fight. Is he that good?
He's that strong, he's that tough, but I don't think anybody is that good. The odds are a reflection of the euphoria his fans felt after that balls-to-the-wall comeback victory over Cotto. So here we are in Margaritaville. His fans feel a special connection to Margarito because he is one of them. He turned pro at the age of 15 to support his then girlfriend, now wife's lifestyle, which included her 3 very small brothers. He's one of those men who, no matter what you throw at him, in or out of the ring, he just keeps coming.
Indeed, and he held firm for an interview visit from Larry Merchant to Margarito's dressing room just a little bit less than an hour ago.
Tony, you've watched Shane Mosley for many years. What are your thoughts as a fighter watching him?
Bueno, es un boxeador con bastante experiencia, un boxeador que ha peleado con lo mejor y me tengo que cuidar de cualquier golpe de él.
He's a great boxer, a boxer with lots of experience, and I have to be careful with any of his punches.
How do you approach him as compared to Cotto? Do you have to change anything you do?
Bueno, estuvimos los sparring adecuados, tuvimos la manopla adecuada. Siempre trato de llegar más del 100%. Nomás cambiamos en el estilo porque es diferente estilo.
We did the correct sparring, we did the correct mitt work. We try and be more aggressive. The only thing we try to change a little bit is to adapt it to Shane Mosley because it's a little bit of a different style.
How?
¿Cómo es? Sí.
Bueno, es que Mosley es un poco más rápido, countea más y Cotto se faja un poco más. Yo creo que Mosley, para mí, yo pienso que va a querer boxear.
Mosley is a bit faster. He counters a bit better. Cotto likes to brawl it a bit more, and I think Mosley will like to box tonight.
You've had such a tremendous response to your victory over Cotto. Do you feel a responsibility now that you're riding that wave of popularity?
Bueno, sí, en verdad, mucha gente me reconoce. Estoy muy contento porque mucha gente viene a apoyarme aquí y no les tengo que quedar mal. Como siempre, va a brindar para todos ellos y en verdad, hay cambio para rato.
Well, truthfully, a lot of people know me because of that fight. A lot of people are following me now, and a lot of people are out here giving me hopes. But obviously, we need to prepare, and we need to. This will be a victory for my public and for the long haul, and to improve the career.
Thank you, Tony.
Muchísimas gracias.
Back live at ringside, our Larry Merchant has already underlined for you the extreme eminence in the sport of Antonio Margarito right at this moment. Let's see how he got it. And as we look back at what happened last January 26th in Las Vegas between Margarito and the then unbeaten Miguel Cotto of Puerto Rico, we'll also bring in our World Championship boxing ringside expert, Emmanuel Stewart, to comment on the action. Cotto came into the fight as a favorite, regarded at that moment in the wake of Mayweather's retirement as perhaps the best clinical boxer in the world. And in the early rounds, Larry, he seemed to be showing exactly that, landing the punches he wanted to land.
But as it turned out, he gave a blueprint of how not to fight Cotto. Trying to
Margarito, you mean?
Margarito. Trying to get away from him and then going to the ropes like this. You can be assured that is not how Mosley will fight him.
And in the 11th round, Emmanuel, Cotto, about as valiant as any fighter in the sport, actually twice took a knee to bring an end to the combat.
And that was very significant, not necessarily that he was just hit with a good punch. It was a way of mentally where he had surrendered and given up in the fight. Margarito has the ability to do that to opponents. Simply because he's physically strong, not necessarily a very flashy fighter, but very, very effective through his consistency and utilizing his strength and a variety of punches.
Margarito's stunning success against Miguel Cotto presents a very pertinent question for tonight, because in November of 2007, Cotto and Shane Mosley fought an extremely even battle in Madison Square Garden in New York, won by Cotto. And one thing we saw in that fight, Emmanuel, is that Cotto and Mosley are about the same size. Maybe, if anything, Miguel's a little bit bigger and stronger. They fight in a fairly similar style. Maybe Miguel has just a little bit more power. There isn't a whole lot of difference between Cotto and Shane Mosley, which brings up the question, why would this fight be any different than what happened last July?
That's a good question. First of all, as you said, there is similarity physically in the guys. There's a little difference, I think Cotto was a little bit of a better puncher. I think that Mosley is a little faster, but ultimately the bottom line is still, I think the fact that Margarito is still a very big physical fighter is still going to end up being his physical strength, I believe, going down the stretch. But it's going to be a little different because Mosley has learned a lot from watching the experience of Cotto when he lost to Margarito, so it'll be a little bit different.
But there are many who believe that Mosley would have to fight 12 rounds in a style somewhat different from the one he most prefers in order to have success against Antonio Margarito. Within the past hour, our Larry Merchant visited in Shane Mosley's dressing room.
On a scale of 1 to 10, Shane, how much of yourself, your prime self, is still here?
I really don't know. I mean, right now I feel like it's a 10. I feel great. I'm in great shape. I came down here prepared mentally, physically, and I'm just ready to go. But after the fight, when I judge my performance, and I can tell you that.
How do you try to control an opponent who never stops coming, never stops punching, and has an indestructible chin?
I think you have to have a pretty good jab. You have to have a jab to keep him off balance, keep him off base. And in the past I've threw good jabs and stuff, and I've been working on that, strengthening my left arm. So I think that the jab could be the key in this fight.
You've never had to deal with the kind of distractions you've had in your life before a fight. How have you been able to try to deal with that with this big event coming up?
just keeping my mind out of the media and just up there in Big Bear training, getting ready for the fight. Just keep myself focused on the fight at hand. Margarito's is a tough champion, a great fighter, and I think that I have to be all there to fight him.
Thank you.
A fighter's dressing room within an hour of combat is in no way an appropriate place to be asking substantive, categorical questions about turmoil in a fighter's life outside the ring, which could affect his performance in the ring. Nevertheless, Shane Mosley clearly has never entered a fight under the burden of so many varied distractions. What distractions? Take a look.
It's the story this fighter can't seem to knock out. In 2003, the Balco steroid scandal touched the world of boxing when Shane Mosley's name appeared on the company's list of clients. And in December of that year, the fighter testified in front of a federal grand jury about his entanglement in a web of illicit performance-enhancing drugs.
How troubled were you by the association of your name with the Balco steroids investigation?
It was a little troubling, but I didn't have any idea what was going on with the Balco thing, and I never took anything or took any steroids or anything, so I'm clean on everything.
In the months and years that followed, the focus on Mosley gradually shifted away from his association with Balco and back toward his exploits in the ring.
He looked as good tonight as has been the case in years.
But in September of 2007, new details emerged about the fighter's use of the blood doping drug EPO and signature Balco products, the Clear and the Cream, in the weeks leading up to his 2003 victory over Oscar De La Hoya.
It's been reported that athletes may have been given illegal or banned substances without their knowledge. How can you be certain that that didn't happen to you?
I'm very certain. I mean, I believe that I didn't take anything.
Mosley later admitted to using these substances, but said he was told they were strictly legitimate. But Balco founder Victor Conti publicly disputed that claim, telling the New York Daily News that, quote, "It was all explained up front, and there was no deception." As a result, Mosley filed a $12 million defamation suit against Conti. Through it all, Mosley's boxing career continued.
Scintillating fighting down the stretch of the fight by Shane Mosley.
Though the Balco story made headlines once again in December of 2008, when portions of the fighter's federal grand jury testimony became public. In the weeks leading up to tonight's broadcast, HBO Sports attempted to secure an on-camera interview with Shane Mosley to address the Balco matter. While our request was at first granted, ultimately it was denied by his attorney, Judd Burstein, who issued this statement. Quote, "Since even before his grand jury testimony, when he passed a lie detector test, Shane has been consistent. He believed and was assured that everything he took or injected was proper. If he were not telling the truth, he would not risk his reputation by suing Conti. Still, he also acknowledges that he did in fact unknowingly use banned substances and apologizes to his fans because he should have been more vigilant and less trusting." And Balco is only part of the drama which has surrounded Mosley in recent months. This past November, he fired his father, Jack, as his trainer. Aside from a brief hiatus between 2004 and 2006, Jack Mosley had trained his son throughout his professional career. Jack's replacement is Nassim Richardson, who guided Bernard Hopkins to his upset win over Kelly Pavlik last October. Further compounding the turmoil, Mosley's 7-year marriage to his wife Jin has come to an end. Jin also served as Shane's manager, a job he has now taken over. It all adds up to a healthy share of tumult on the eve of what may be the most dangerous challenge of Mosley's career.
And within the past 48 hours, one of Mosley's many distractions has been removed as a defamation lawsuit filed against him by his former strength and conditioning trainer, Daryl Hudson, was apparently dismissed in court. This had to do with statements Mosley had made back in 2004 to the effect that it was Hudson who had led him to Balco. So mark off one from the long list, but Larry Merchant, it's nevertheless quite a catalog of distractions for Shane to bring into the ring. I mean, lesser fighters have used lesser distractions as excuses for losses. How will all this affect Shane tonight?
What he says is well said. And what he says is that if he beats Margarito, it won't be because of Margarito's distractions, such as a letdown from Cotto. And that if Margarito beats him, it won't be because of the distractions in his life. but it's distractions as a plural. We've learned that 2 weeks ago, Mosley had to leave his mountain retreat to come down to finalize the terms of his divorce. It can't help, it may not hurt, who really knows?
Indeed, and we're only going to find out all of this as the action unfolds in the ring tonight. Larry talked about the one divorce with Jin. The other, of course, Emmanuel Stewart, his split from his father, who has trained him through most of his career. He brings in Nassim Richardson, longtime denizen of the Bernard Hopkins camp, and the lead trainer in Hopkins' annihilation of Kelly Pavlik last October. How will Richardson and Mosley work out tonight?
I think it's going to work out well, and I think it's a good asset based on the fact that Nassim, who's from the old school of boxing, has said he doesn't expect to come in and try to change Shane Mosley completely. Try to make a little bit of an improvement on his strategy and techniques, and I respect that because he's trying to work within the style of what Shane Mosley really is, and that's very wise. I think the success he had with Bernard Hopkins has really got a lot of attention, but he's always been there with Bernard Hopkins. He was never just a publicized trainer. And Shane, this is his second time he's had trainers, not the first time since he's left his original trainer. He's all had Joe Goosen and John David Jackson. Plus, during the fight with Vernon Forrest when things got tough, actually the cut man, Cassius Green, took over that fight.
So, we've been through this before, is what you're saying.
Yes.
We'll see what happens tonight. Let's take a look at the tail of the tape for Shane Mosley against Antonio Margarito. Before the largest crowd in the history of Staples Center, you see the 7-year age advantage for Margarito. A height advantage of 2 inches for the Mexican fighter, the Tijuana Tornado, but contradictorily, a 2-inch arm length advantage measured from the armpit to the end of the fist for Mosley. They both weighed in at or within a pound of the 147-pound limit. Unofficially, both of them will enter the ring at the middleweight limit of 160 pounds tonight. Rules of the bout with our unofficial ringside scorer, Harold Letterman.
The Antonio Margarito Shane Mosley fight is scheduled for 12 rounds using the unified rules of the Association of Boxing Commissions. There is no 3 knockdown rule. Only the referee can stop the fight. In case a cut is caused by an accidental headbutt, we go to the scorecards after 4 rounds have been completed, and you cannot be saved by the bell in any round, including the 12th and final round. Jim!
And celebrities here tonight. There's Sugar Ray Leonard in about the 4th row, and his one-time contender colleague Sly Stallone is in the front row. George Lopez is here tonight. Good buddy with the promoter. Mark Wahlberg comes to every major prize fight at Staples. Joe Pesci, a good fella, called this reporter for tickets. I didn't have them, but he got them somewhere else. And there's one big-name celebrity, Larry, who isn't here tonight.
A celebrity who is here in bronze only. Oscar De La Hoya, the live version, is in nearby Anaheim, where his company got a $5 million fee from a t-shirt maker so that he would be personally involved in the promotion of a mixed martial arts show. It would take that much, Jim, to get me to go to one of those things.
There's one more big story brewing here, and we'll break it for you in the first round, so stick with us. Meanwhile, let's go to Michael Buffer now for pre-fight pageantry.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention, please. Just a few days ago, a member of the boxing fraternity passed away. During the 1960s, he reigned supreme as world champion in the light heavyweight division. Upon retiring, he was a mentor of the young fighters and wrote books about the sport. At this time, please rise in silence as we toll a final memorial count of 10 to a fallen warrior, former light heavyweight champion of the world, Jose Torres. Rest in peace, champion.
And now we're ready for the main event. Pomona, California's own Shane Mosley.
Shane Mosley
Mosley is out hustling Oscar De La Hoya, out working him, out fighting him when it matters most.
The first time I shocked the world was when I fought Oscar De La Hoya.
And new welterweight champion of the world, Sugar Shane.
This time, shocking the world again at the Staples Center. What a great place.
This is what you love about Mosley.
Brilliant stuff by Shane Mosley.
Antonio Margarito is the best. I want to get in the ring with him. I want to beat him. I'm going to stay right there until the last bell rings. We're going to fight to the end. But if somebody gets knocked out, it's not going to be me.
Coming to the ring at this time, the challenger, the Sugar Man, Sugar Shane Mosley.
What you need to do is be thankful for the life you got, you know what I'm saying? Stop looking at what you ain't got, start being thankful for what you do got. Let's get it to him, baby girl. Hey.
This is a Margarita crowd, Jim.
Yes, and you know, while there may be debate as to whose drawing power is responsible for the Staples Center record crowd here tonight, it hasn't been Mosley's history to produce that kind of attraction. Maybe late in his career, he has more fans, but the expectation of most is that this is a pro Margarito house.
Well, he's recognized still as an A or A+ prize fighter. To me, the amazing thing about him is in that his recent fights against welterweights, he has been as active as he was back in his prime.
Emmanuel, he's 37 years old. One of those nights, he's going to show up and be off the diving board. Could tonight be tonight?
It could be, but I don't think it is. And this crowd here is just so exciting. It's not just Margarito. I think this is maybe becoming the fight capital of the world in terms of attendance. There's a lot of celebrity people here tonight.
Every time we've been in Staples Center, we've had a bigger than expected crowd. Every time it has been a raucous environment. Mosley now in the ring. They tell us that LaDainian Tomlinson of the San Diego Chargers is in there with him. Hey, LT won't get to play here either. But he'll surely have a good seat during the fight. And now the clear favorite, Antonio Margarito.
The Tijuana Tornado.
Sabía que derrotando a Miguel Cotto me iba a convertir en el mejor peso welter del mundo.
The punishment has accumulated to the point where Cotto has nothing left, and Antonio Margarito has the victory he's been waiting for all his life.
He never stops coming. He's a real puncher. He takes a hell of a shot.
Shane, yo creo que tiene mucha experiencia, peleado con lo mejor, y tenemos que entrar muy duro para salir adelante.
Antonio Margarito comes to hurt you.
Yo voy a ser el mismo, voy a poner presión, voy para enfrente, me imagino que va a ser una guerra.
Margarito wanted to make a statement. How's this for a statement?
What a show!
Antonio Margarito.
To these fans, his victory over Cotto was reminiscent of Julio Cesar Chavez's victory over Meldrick Taylor and made him an instant hero.
And amid Los Angeles' ethnic mix, this Tijuana fighter, who was actually born in nearby Torrance, trains in various gyms here in Los Angeles and is perhaps regarded by many as even more of a local than Pomona's Mosley, who spent his whole life living here in Southern California.
And that's interesting. And the fact that he doesn't speak English is, I think, an asset to him with the real true Mexican fans, even though he was born in the United States here in California. But he's extremely well, like he's reflective of what the Mexican fans call a true Mexican fighter.
A deafening reception for Margarito. Entering the ring unofficially, weighing 160 pounds, just as does Shane Mosley. Let's go to Michael Buffer for the official introductions.
Ladies and gentlemen, from Staples Center here in the City of Angels, Los Angeles, California, Bob Arum's Top Rank Incorporated and Oscar de la Hoya's Golden Boy Promotions are proud to present the main event of the evening. 12 rounds of boxing for the WBA Welterweight Championship of the World. Sponsored by Tecate, Cerveza con Character, and Southwest Airlines, low fares, no hidden fees. Sanctioned by the California State Athletic Commission, Chairman Tim Noonan, Assistant Executive Officer Bill Douglas, and the World Boxing Association President Gilberto Mendoza. At ringside, should this bout go the distance, the three judges scoring: Max DeLuca, Dr. James Jankin, and Nelson Vasquez. And inside the ring, the referee in charge of the action at the bell, Raul Caiz Sr. And now, for the 20,820 fans in attendance, the largest crowd in the history of Staples Center, Los Angeles, and the millions watching around the world on HBO. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble! Fighting out of the blue corner, wearing black with silver, officially weighing 147 pounds. His professional record, 45 victories, including 38 knockouts, 5 defeats, and 1 no decision. He has 4 world titles in 3 divisions. Tonight, he is the challenger from Pomona, California, former lightweight world champion, former welterweight world champion, and former light middleweight champion of the world, Sugar Shane Mosley. And fighting out of the red corner, wearing red with black, official weight 146 pounds. Professional record, 37 victories, including 27 knockouts with 5 defeats. Damas y caballeros, presentar de Tijuana, Baja California, México, la reina, la defensa, campeón del mundo, the reigning, defending WBA welterweight champion of the world, el Tornado de Tijuana, the Tijuana Tornado, Antonio Margarito.
Okay, gentlemen, I give you instructions downstairs. Decir las instrucciones del vestidor. Golpes here, punches here, fine. Shake hands, good luck to both of you. Buena suerte a los dos.
Just minutes ago, the Commissioner of Boxing, Dean Lohaus, reported to us that an illegal pad was found in Margarito's gloves, something that would harden when wet, and that his hands had to be rewrapped 3 times.
Well, what you meant was really it was illegal of padding in the hand wraps, not in the gloves themselves, or in the way that his hands was wrapped.
Yes, and it has been reported by some who saw it that that substance, which was illegal within the hand wrap of Margarito, was wet and was hardening, which takes you back to July 4, 1919 in Toledo, Ohio, between Jack Dempsey and Jess Willard, and the ongoing controversy nearly 100 years later of plaster of Paris and the question of whether Dempsey had loaded gloves. It is not a small subject, but we know now that if there was skullduggery going on, it was caught, and Margarito's hands are legally wrapped as he enters the ring against Mosley.
But that's the only thing that I consider serious in terms of illegal hand wrapping is having plaster of Paris.
Well, meanwhile, we got a fight going on in there, and the one who's landing loaded gloves so far in the first round is Shane Mosley, who seems to be trying to take a little bit of a chance in round one and try to make a physical impression on Antonio Margarito.
I think he's doing the right thing. He's trying to gain some restrict and to show his physical strength. You know, the one thing about Shane, he's never been considered a big guy, but he's always been a physically strong little guy, very compact, and at one time was a weightlifter when he was in high school.
He may also be trying to take advantage of the fact that Margarito's a notoriously slow starter, who, for instance, in his loss to Paul Williams, virtually gave away the first 6 rounds.
Hands are free, mano libres.
He lost most of the first 6 rounds against Cotto last summer, too. Excuse me, Larry.
Well, the most important punches that Mosley has thrown have been 2 body shots, because Cotto never went to the body enough to try to weaken Margarito, who just cannot be weakened with shots to the head.
Yeah, some would say, should you hit a freight train in the body? Well, why not?
One thing is that both of these guys are known for being strong finishers. Even though we talk about how Margarito finishes up strong on his opponents, Shane has also finished strong in most of his key fights. Both victories over Oscar De La Hoya. He won it by winning the late rounds. And even in losing to Cotto, he finished up winning the last part of those 2 rounds. So it should be
good left hook by Mosley in that exchange. Landed flush.
He has 4 knockouts in the 10th, 11th, and 12th rounds.
There have been moments when he seemed to be trying for one here in the first round against Antonio Margarito. Margarito has spent this round more or less treading water and trying to give as good as he's gotten in mid-ring exchanges with Mosley, but the aggressor has been Shane, and he's been quicker with his punches, particularly to the body. Now, Margarito begins to land that long left jab, and Mosley instantly shows you his fighter's instinct as he tries to counter over it. Good right hand by Mosley.
And as he promised, throwing more jabs than he usually does.
Well, Antonio Margarito's no stranger to losing the first round, and it appears that he may have lost another round 1.
There's nothing there, nothing there. Come on, relax a little bit more now. Relax a little bit more, just relax. Use your jab. Use your jab, and when he ties you up, you push him to the side. Push him to the side and work your left hand on the inside. Left hand. He's getting in close. He's getting in real close.
Right here.
He's getting in very close now. There's nothing there.
Here you see Shane Mosley doing something he said that he would do that Cotto didn't do, was to try to explore body punching with Margarito, because no one ever goes to Margarito's body. And here near the end of the round, you actually see Shane Mosley land a beautiful left hook on the head.
That was the best head punch of the round. I agree with Larry that the body punches were more significant because they introduce a wrinkle that perhaps Cotto penalized himself by ignoring. CompuBox numbers in round 1, Margarito 12 out of 64, Shane Mosley 15 out of 58. By and large, if Antonio Margarito only throws 64 punches in a round, he had a slow round. His idea is to get up above 100 at some point.
When you move away constantly from a fighter like Margarito, you just provide momentum for him to come at you. And that's why Mosley is doing this and staying off the ropes.
know, we only showed you 5 celebrities in our pre-fight package, but there may be 500 names and faces in this crowd that most Americans would know and recognize. It's quite a star-studded assemblage here in Staples Center as Mosley bulls Margarito to the ropes and again tries to gain some purchase to the body.
Stop! Break! Nice and relaxed. Deep breath.
Partially blocked that right hand by Mosley.
But one thing that Margarito cannot afford to do is get too far behind. If he gets behind after 5 or 6 rounds, you know, he may have a real problem himself because Mosley finishes up strong himself. And he may have a real problem. Mosley does not wilt going down the stretch.
And Margarito ate a 1-2 combination from Mosley just before Emmanuel was making that comment. So Shane Mosley is still more than holding his own against Antonio Margarito in the early going. And that's why this crowd is quiet and restive.
Well, they're watching.
Jab, jab, jab from Mosley.
That punch grazed Mosley. But they're watching 2 irresistible forces and 2 immovable objects.
And if you watch the way Margarito's moving forward, he almost gets like a little jig sometimes. He even loses his balance. He's becoming a little bit more aggressive with his feet. They're putting a lot of pressure and forcing Shane to throw more punches in that fight at a faster pace than he probably would like.
Total punches thrown in this round show you that the fight is being fought at Shane Mosley's pace. Margarito not yet able to force Mosley up to a 70 or 80 punch per round pace, where the advantage might begin to fall into his favor. Raul Caiz telling Mosley not to use his head in close.
I want you to be gentlemen. Dense la mano y cálmese. Let's go.
Monday, Real Sports takes a hard look at why so many professional athletes seem to be carrying guns today. Is it for protection? What caused this trend? And February 23, the premiere of a documentary pretty close to my Carolina heart, Battle for Tobacco Road, Duke versus Carolina. HBO chronicles the fiercest rivalry in college basketball between 2 schools separated by 8 miles. The difference between Durham and the southern part of heaven. Punches in the second round, Margarito 10 out of 59. That's a very poor round numerically for Antonio Margarito. Shane Mosley 13 out of 53 has the comfort right now of fighting at the pace he prefers.
Take it easy, baby. Relax. Calmadito, let's go.
Round 3 begins. You see that Harold Letterman has given the first 2 rounds to Shane Mosley. Partially reflective, we think, of the pace of the fight, which so far favors Shane.
Shane's faster hand speed has been a big difference right there because Margarito is not really a super fast fighter, but in every area he's good. Not superior at any of them, but just good.
Even at his best, Margarito is not as crisp and as sharp and distinctive a puncher as Mosley. No. The slower the pace, the more that shows up.
Yeah, but the biggest thing is that Margarito's got the pressure, the tempo he fights at, and he knows that's his strength. He basically does everything good, not exception, but the pressure that he puts on a fighter.
Well, he believes that to take a backward step is treason.
Hands are free, let him go, Shane. Manos libres, hands are free, gentlemen. You can punch there. Ahí pueden tirar golpes.
Margarito lands his trademark uppercut, turns to talk to Caiz about another headbutt. Keeps pawing with his gloves against his forehead as if to show Caiz that he thinks he's getting butted, and then goes back to throwing his long jab, and Mosley counters over it with a perfect right hand. Hard right hand by Mosley.
killer right hand to the body by Mosley.
And the early returns would seem to indicate Mosley and Nassim Richardson is a team that should have happened a while ago.
Well, if Mosley could continue to do this, because Margarito gets hit early, as we saw with Cotto and a lot of the other guys he fought. But still, can you be able to do that for him around the 8th and 9th round? Because he takes a good punch. And most likely we'll be there for the 8th and 9th round.
It's still not a whirlwind. It's no tornado in there, although Margarito lands a good right hand, and then Mosley follows with a sharp right hand of his own. And Margarito says, all right, we're going to fight. I love it. Now let's begin to trade, because this is my fight. And he takes Mosley's hard left hand shot.
You're waiting too long. You're waiting too much. Come on, you've got to attack. When you're tying up, no, don't tie. You be first. You be on top of him. Jab, jab, right hand. When he attacks and you block, then go in. Go in and throw. All of a sudden, he looks up. He looks up, ready for a battle. Get him on the inside, straight from the chin in. You're gonna catch him. You're gonna catch him with that right hand. How do you feel? Good.
Here we see Shane land a beautiful picture-perfect, direct, straight right hand over the shoulder. But the thing to notice is, immediately after all of that, Margarito's still moving forward. Once again, here you see Shane land another right hand. But immediately after that, you see Margarito coming right back again.
Let's keep it like that, babe. Let's keep it like that.
CompuBox numbers in round 3. Again, Margarito 16 out of 65, 22 out of 65 for Mosley. They're starting to speed up. It still favors Shane. Harold, how do you have it through 3?
3 rounds to nothing, 30-27, Shane Mosley. Jim, in round 1, I thought Mosley ruined it with, really got to him with that overhand right. I mean, he just landed it over and over and over again. Round 2, Shane Mosley went to the left jab and out-jabbed him. Beautiful left jabs in round 2. Round 3, back to the sneaky right hand, doing much more damage. The problem is, nothing stops Margarito. He just keeps coming when he's getting hit by Mosley's best shots. 3-0, Mosley.
But Mosley's building a lead on the scorecards. And in his entire career, a professional since 1992, Shane Mosley has been knocked down once. That by Vernon Forrest in their first fight, and never knocked out.
No, that's what I was saying. Margarito cannot afford to get too far behind because Mosley may not wilt as fast as the other fighters he has fought in the past. In particular, if he gets 5 or 6 rounds, all he has to do is win 1 round somewhere, and he will win the fight.
That's how Paul Williams beat Margarito. Won the first 6 rounds, won the 12th. Margarito's comeback was for naught. He thought he had won, but the judges had it for Williams.
As soon as his back hit the ropes, you saw Mosley bounce back into the middle of the ring, not wanting to give Margarito a chance to build up any momentum.
That's what Cotto didn't do last summer.
Yeah. And Margarito, he eats those punches like M&Ms. It just doesn't bother him.
Well, there were many at ringside last July 26th who walked around in awe and wonder after the fight saying, that's the greatest chin I've ever seen, in reference to Margarito's ability to take a punch.
Well, and Mosley is happy to give him a chance to prove it again.
Take a deep breath.
Which so far has been the case. Good left hook by Margarito. Mosley holding him here and there, trying to slow the action.
Yeah, Margarito hasn't been able to land any real clean, crisp punches. He's been just physically getting closer and closer and mauling him. But the clean, effective punches, the head slapper punches are all coming from Shane Mosley.
Hey, but that was the case in Las Vegas last July, too. Huge right hand by Mosley. One of the best shots of the fight.
After Mosley finishes up, he ties up Margarito instead of trying to move away the way Cotto did, which tired Cotto out much. He's taking a break after he lands his flurries of punches and resting, which is very smart.
Well, and now that the commission has removed an illegal implement from inside Antonio Margarito's hand wrap, then inevitably the question will arise, did he have that in the hand wrap last July? Did it harden like plaster of Paris? Was it a factor in the fight?
Now listen, you landed some good shots up top, but we got to remember how they started. We set them up with their body shot. See, this guy ain't used to getting it back at the body. Take that jab, keep popping him up, stab him in his heart, rip around them sides. We gonna show him how he got to slow down. When he hit the pedal, ain't gonna be no gas in the car at the end of this. All right? Your combination, Shane, nobody in this division hands as fast as yours. Run them combinations, knock the grease off this dude, and then swim without getting wet. Slide to your stick, slide to your angle. We gonna get it.
Here we see Shane continuing landing the same punch. In fact, it looks like it's the same shots we shot the last round. And you see it landing over and over and over. The right hand's right on the chin.
CompuBox numbers in full. Margarito 16 out of 69. Mosley 18 out of 59. Each landed 11 power shots. So numerically the round was relatively even. But the pace of the fight remains in Shane Mosley's favor. Antonio Margarito has not gotten above 70 punches in any one round, meaning he is nowhere near fighting his fight yet.
And if you listen to the intensity in the voice of Nassim Richardson, he is really getting excited. He realizes that they're on their way to winning the championship, and I think that Shane is going to be a rough guy to beat now going down the stretch.
Swim without getting wet.
That was the one that caught my ear, too. What does that mean, Emmanuel? Swim without getting wet?
I have no idea.
I think he just means punch, but don't stay in there to get punched back.
Colorful image.
Well, he's doing the right thing. He lands his punches as he grabs and ties up Margarito, because Margarito is always going to keep coming forward. So you can't land a punch and just try to dance away, because he'll pressure you.
I have never seen Antonio Margarito reduced to trying to land pity-pat punches just to make contact, struggling so manfully to try to speed up the pace in a fight, but yet being tricked out of it by brilliant strategy on the part of Shane Mosley, who is changing from round to round, making little adjustments here and there, and still controlling the fight. And meanwhile, the crowd is not in the fight, which is another advantage for Shane Mosley.
And if you recall, in the Cotto fight, even though Cotto was winning the early rounds, Margarito was doing some damage.
You're right.
That showed up later.
You're right, Larry. He's very, very ineffective in his fight as compared to the fight with Cotto.
Well, you know, I believe both of you made the point before the fight. Mosley had the advantage of watching the Cotto fight on tape, and there was much to be learned there.
Don't grab him, Shane. Don't grab him, baby.
But of course, it's still one thing to know what you can do and to be Shane Mosley and be able to do it.
Relax, John, relax. Deep breath. Respiren los dos.
Blood from the mouth of Margarito after that left hook.
Come on, baby.
Good buggy whip right hand body shot by Shane Mosley. And as we reach the end of round 5, the math begins to look very forbidding for Antonio Margarito.
I agree, Jim. Margarito's on the verge of losing the championship now. I don't think he can come back as devastating as he did with Cotto.
He has lost, in my view at least, the first 5 rounds of the fight. There's Shane's father, Jack Mosley. Shane says he and Jack are getting along great, just as well as ever. Jack was somewhat embittered by his removal as Shane's trainer the first time around, but hasn't expressed any of that this time. He's a man who loves the limelight.
Let's keep him off the back of the head, please, oh. Let them fast hands win the round for you, Shane.
Careful with the head. Careful with your head. You're going to get cut. Got to work with the left. Inside. Left on the inside. Left up top. Right over the top. Then left. Because he's going over to the left. He's leaning over to the left. He's open for that.
CompuBox numbers in round 5. Margarito 18 out of 69, Shane Mosley 16 out of 57. 12 of Mosley's 16 punches were power shots, and more to the point, Shane Mosley producing by far the more exemplary impact, the more stunning blows, the more eye-catching offense. And you saw that Harold Letterman's card has Mosley winning every round.
Mosley's hit Margarito almost at will with right hands. I mean, he's landing probably about 80%, which is very unusual for a top-notch fighter, especially a world champion type fighter, to be getting hit with that many right hands. He seems he has no defense except to just hit it and try to just get hit and try to just punch after he gets hit.
Margarito is a fighter who tries to break his opponent's will, but you've got to be able to hit them with some serious stuff to do that. And he hasn't been able to do that seriously.
Stop! Break! Nice and relaxed. Nice and relaxed. Okay, están bien los dos.
The look on Antonio Margarito's face is nothing like the way he looked at this moment while trailing Miguel Cotto in Las Vegas last July.
Yeah, and the look on his corner's face also.
There's no arrogance here tonight.
No, they realize they're in trouble right here because Shane Mosley doesn't fall apart going down the stretch. And Shane is still landing crisp, clean punches.
And Margarito is starting to retreat, which is news.
He's getting beaten to the punch in every exchange. He may be retreating just looking for a new answer.
Yeah, once you get behind as serious as Margarito's behind now, and you're not a devastating one-punch puncher, which he isn't, and he's got a fighter now who doesn't fall apart, means he's going to be in trouble.
And he's not wearing the other guy down because he's much more on the defensive than on the offensive. I mean, what a fight. Tremendous right hand. And when I say what a fight by Mosley. And a second straight flush right hand. And a third straight right hand, which pretty much eliminates any chance that Margarito could have won this round. And the whitewash seems to be continuing in Staples Center. Antonio Margarito, a 4-1 betting favorite, is nowhere in the fight so far against Shane Mosley. And we are halfway done.
And his arms appear weary.
Stop at the bell.
That is a look-up defeat.
No, man, too square, too square. Move to your right, move to your right, so you can catch him with the right hand. You're letting him lead. He's winning the round, son. What's wrong, son? You're tired? No, not at all. So what? Control the fight mentally. You've got to attack. You've got to attack. You have to punch. You have to press him. If he comes on close on the inside, don't let him be there. Activate yourself.
Okay, let's go.
Knock that grease off and stay with the game plan.
Here, not only has Shane Mosley been hitting Margarito at ease with long distance pitcher punch right hands, now he's hitting it with even short, close right hands inside. It seems like he cannot miss a right hand punch.
The 6th round was by far the best for Shane Mosley. 26 out of 66, 14 of the 26 power shots. Margarito 13 out of 54, meaning he's slowing down and backing out of the fight. And Harold, you got it a shutout, right?
Absolutely, Jim. 6-0. 60-54, Shane Mosley. Jim, the only thing in that ring that Shane Mosley hasn't hit him with is the stool and a referee. He's hit him with everything else. What he does is he gets inside of Margarito's long arms. I mean, he doesn't give the guy room to punch. As long as he stays... They call timeout to put the wrap up the tape. As long as he stays inside, Jim, Margarito doesn't have room to use that long left hook. 6-0, Mosley.
Just a brilliant job of footwork ring generalship, sharp punching, excellent choices. I don't think Shane Mosley's made a mistake. Oh my gosh.
And you know something else I've always said that Shane didn't have that he's impressed with? He actually has a good jab tonight, too. Usually he just, you know, jingles his left hand out as a rangefinder, but he's actually throwing effective jabs in addition to the right hands.
I don't think I've ever seen him look so technically good. Maybe against Luis Colazo a couple of years ago.
I think this is his best fight. I mean, he's punching to this fight.
In a sense, this is like Hopkins against Pavlik, because he knows exactly where his opponent is going to be at all times, coming straight to him. Hopkins looked 10 years younger against that kind of an opponent than he did against faster, hungrier guys like Taylor and Calzaghe.
So how many fighters are going to want to hire Philadelphia's Nassim Richardson after this? I mean, first Richardson guides Hopkins to the annihilation of Pavlik, and then this, which would be one of the biggest upsets in the sport in recent years, if Mosley continues to pull it off.
Hands are free. Just pull your hand out, Shane. And your both hands will be free.
And we qualify if it continues, because of course, you'll recall that Miguel Cotto was in pretty good shape on the scorecards at this point against Margarito last summer in Las Vegas, but that was an entirely different kind of fight.
Entirely different fight. I mean, you could see the momentum was going with Margarito, but this fight here, the momentum at this point is getting stronger. If anyone will get stopped, it may be Margarito, just from all of the variety of punches
well, if he keeps getting hit with flush right hands, the way Mosley has hit him.
Even though Mosley's not a
now,
big puncher.
Here's a little rally by Margarito. He shows just a little burst of energy there. Taking punches, but that's always the case. Trying to get back into the fight by landing something hard.
But Shane Mosley is a fighter himself. He's not going to let you ever take complete control of him.
No, and he rolled his chin very well against Margarito's right hand. He's warning Margarito against low blows, warning Mosley against butts. And the light momentarily went back on in Antonio Margarito's eyes, but I'm not sure that means he won the round.
Come on, throw it on, throw it on. You were doing it now. You were doing it and you hurt him. Just be careful. As soon as you hit, beat on the defensive, and then attack him again. Move to the sides. Come on, relax. Wake up.
Here's a bumper crop of hot young prospects in boxing. Some of them you will see in February on HBO, including that man, James Kirkland, a huge puncher at 154 pounds in an excellent fight against Joel Julio. And that man, Victor Ortiz, one of the hottest young prospects in the sport. And he will also appear in February on HBO. Ortiz was ESPN.com's Prospect of the Year for 2008.
That last round was the best round for Margarito, so I assume he'll get it in comparison to his other rounds. He's going to have to put more of them together.
Yeah. That was what we call a comparison round compared to the others, but it still probably, in my opinion, didn't win it, but he probably would get it on the scorecards because it was better than what he did before.
There's another flush right hand for Mosley, perfectly set up by a good left jab.
He can't miss a right hand.
It's almost as if Margarito is trying to break your hands with his jaw.
That's exactly what I was thinking about. He's hit him so much that his biggest danger there is really hurting or breaking his right hand.
Margarito got in a quick left hook.
Nice and relaxed, nice and relaxed.
But we're into the 8th round of a scheduled 12, and not once has the Tijuana Tornado managed to get above 80 punches thrown in the round. And in past fights, such as the second half of the Cotto fight, it wasn't unusual to see him throw more than 100 punches in the round. Almost all of them hard punches. Just haven't seen it tonight.
But the thing, Shane can get hit and do it, and then he knows whenever he wants to, all he has to do is to land that fast right hand and put things right back on track again. Because Margarito's head is going to be right there.
But Margarito's volume is slowly beginning to crank up.
Stop!
But as I said earlier, Jim, once he lost 5 rounds and 6 rounds, I mean, that's serious. It's the 3rd round maybe, but when he started in this half, it's very hard to win a decision right now. For Mosley. I mean, for Margarito. For Margarito. He's too far behind with a guy who doesn't fall apart.
And who is still effectively controlling the pace of the fight.
Yep, and when he wants to throw that right hand, he knows he can throw it, and a hit is going to be there at the end of it.
Crowd is trying to urge Margarito back into the fight. They like the right hand he landed there. But once again, Mosley backs him off with sharp combinations.
This what makes this a good fight. These are 2 guys who both refuse to let someone take total control. As soon as Shane looks like he's in trouble, he'll start firing back, and Margarito does the same thing. But Shane has better hand speed.
I believe that Shane's going to still have to win another round
Margarito
or 2.
was stunned by the right hand. Margarito has not thrown since Shane landed that combination. Mosley has Margarito in trouble on the ropes. Staggers him with that right hand. He's about 1 more right hand away from going down.
And he doesn't know how to tie up, use, and survive like most fighters do. He's not used to being in this position.
10 seconds. Good left hook by Mosley.
That was a knockdown. He went into the ropes.
And there's the knockdown. And Margarito looks like a beaten man. Wobbling on his feet. Let's see if Raul Keys is going to let him fight. The bell ends round 8, saving Antonio Margarito from a possible knockout.
And he staggers to the
corner. He's got no legs.
How are you? How are you? Water, where's the water? Come on, son, how are you feeling? Come on. All right, son, where's the water? I'm okay, I'm okay. No.
It's over.
Let's see. I'm okay. No, you're not. No, you're not, son. That's it.
Here,
no, please.
Here you see the left hand that hurt Margarito. He shots an uppercut and then comes back with a left that hit all of the power because he got, and then after that it was just a matter of following through.
And from
this
that
is
point
another
forward.
left hook. But Shane is lunging forward with full force and weight on all of his punches.
There are people in Margarito's corner who are not sure they should send him out again.
If I was,
but how could you not send out a warrior like him?
Round 9 of a scheduled 12. 2-point round for Mosley in the last round. Margarito would have no chance to win this fight on a decision. Must have a knockout if he's going to maintain his position in the division. Shane Mosley at age 37 is trying to become the #1 welterweight in the world. And that's the way he'd be recognized if he can beat this man in the way that he's beating him right now.
Margarito has no defense at all for punches.
This fight could be stopped any second now. Margarito is getting hit flush with every right hand. There's another one. There's a big left hook. Why not stop it now? And there's the white towel from the corner, and Shane Mosley has annihilated Antonio Margarito.
Can that man fight?
In the 9th round, Shane Mosley landed 21 punches, and Antonio Margarito did not land a single blow. Before the largest crowd ever to enter Staples Center for any kind of event, Antonio Margarito has lost his welterweight supremacy to Shane Mosley. And coming into the ring amid a set of distractions that might have knocked over a building, Mosley knocked over the toughest building in boxing.
I am thoroughly impressed, and I would say this and somewhat very surprised. This performance here is just unbelievable, and he did everything.
Let's watch the finish.
Margarito tries to make every fight a laboratory of pain, but he's the only one in pain here tonight.
Well, it was clear that referee Raul Caiz could have stopped it at any moment there. I mean, Margarito wasn't offering back and was basically getting hit flush with every power shot. So finally Caiz stepped in just as Margarito crumbled to the canvas.
This is what makes this sport so unique.
Theater of the unexpected.
You have Cotto getting destroyed by Margarito, and Cotto had beaten Mosley. Mosley comes back and totally destroys Margarito. This is what's so great about boxing.
Yeah, you know, Joe Frazier beats Muhammad Ali. George Foreman walks over Joe Frazier. Muhammad Ali beats George Foreman. That's what we love about boxing. Let's go to Michael Buffer for the particulars on the shocking upset.
Ladies and gentlemen, the end comes at 43 seconds of round number 9. To the winner by knockout victory in one of the greatest performances of his Hall of Fame career, and once again, WBA welterweight champion of the world, Sugar Shane Mosley.
Final CompuBox numbers on this stunning one-sided disposal of Margarito by Mosley. Mosley lands 70 more punches, throws 22 more, and connects at a 13% higher rate. Mosley landed 49% of his power shots. We have told you many times, if a fighter lands close to half or more than half of his power shots, chances are he got a big victory. And now Larry Merchant stands by with the #1 welterweight in the world, Shane Mosley.
Thank you, Jim. Shane, is it possible that all the distractions everyone has been talking about motivated you to one of your great performances?
You know, I think it did motivate me a little bit. I mean, I've been Big Bear. You know, my new trainer, Nazim Richardson, did a great job, and everybody had a great game plan. You know, my stretch coach, strengthening Gustavo Santarani. We all up there, Anthony Randolph, everybody, we up there. We train hard. We train very hard up there.
Shane, everybody trains hard.
No, but
not everybody can do what you did tonight. How did you do it?
Focus. I focused on the game plan. This is good training, good coach. This was my night. You know, everybody came out here like the first time when I stepped foot in here in the Staples Center. They came out to witness a great fight. And with Margarito, they knew it was gonna be a great fight, and we fought our butts off.
When you say your coach, did you get a new look and a new strategy from your new coach that you believe helped you to win?
Well, I'm not sure if it was a new strategy or anything, but I know that we did have a plan and a strategy of what we wanted to do in the fight, and we executed, and we did it.
In Capsule, what was that plan?
And what was the execution of
the plan you had in Capsule?
Well, I mean, the plan was, you know, I knew he was going to walk into the punches. I knew that he was going to come right forward. It was kind of an easy plan to do because, you know, Margarito fights hard. He fights one way, but he fights very hard, and not just anybody can beat him. He's a great warrior, a great world champion. You just can't beat Margarito. You have to be a special person. And that special person was me.
Did you imagine that you could actually stop Margarito, who has never been anywhere near a knockout?
Well, you know, I tell you all the time, Larry, I always go for the knockout. So when the fans should know, when they come to see Shane Mosley, Shane is going for that knockout. We're going for a great fight. And the same thing with Margarito. I knew he was going for a knockout, too.
Let's take a look at those knockdowns, Shane, and help me describe them. This is round 8, the first round.
Well, you know, that big left hook that I have, I throw very well. You know, I caught Fernando Vargas with it. I caught Mayorga with it. And, you know, the left hook is pretty strong.
But he had been pretty well softened up by then, right?
Yeah, I think I softened him up a little bit with the body shots. You know, he was throwing some good body shots as well. We both was catching each other with great body shots. But like I told you, I'm a big welterweight too. I have great hand speed, and I have good hitting power. And not just anybody can stand up to it.
What was it like for you to go in for the finish of that fight, knowing that it was inevitable by that time?
It was very exciting, I should say. I mean, I know quite how to attack him, how to get to him, because I didn't want him to lose that buzz that I knew he had after the bell ended. And so, oh man, he might recover now. And I knew he was going to come back very hard because he's a warrior. He's going to fight to the end. And that's how all us California fighters do. We fight to the end.
Looking around at this giant crowd of over 20,000 people, Oscar's statue out front. You think you belong there now? You're the first fighter that ever fight here twice, and you've done pretty well here.
I think my statue will probably be up there right along with Oscar's. Me and Bernard. I mean, we're both part of Golden Boy Promotions. Oscar was up there first. Me and Bernard can get up there second. Golden Boy Promotion team.
I asked you before the fight, on a scale of 1 to 10, where were you? You said you'd tell me after the fight. So is this a 10 or a 12?
You asked that question for me, Larry. I mean, I haven't got a chance to see the fight, but I know that my hitting power was a 10.
Thank you very much. Congratulations on a great fight, Shane.
Thank you.
All right, Tony. You are on top of the world for months and months after the Cotto win. What happened tonight?
Bueno, en verdad le doy crédito a Mosley. Yo lo había mencionado, tiene una gran experiencia. La esquina quiso parar la pelea. Yo en verdad, yo me sentía bien, ¿no? Pero la esquina es la que mira.
Truthfully, all credit to Mosley. I said he's a great champion. He's a great fighter, and my corner wanted to stop the fight, but I said no. I wanted to continue.
If the fight were to end, you wanted to be knocked out.
Si la pelea iba a terminar, tú querías que te fueran a tumbar. Es la única manera de perder.
Bueno, realmente sí, en verdad, estoy contento porque todo este público vino a apoyarme a mí. En verdad, yo quería pelear hasta que se acabara la pelea. Mi esquina paró la pelea, pero pues ni hablar. Ellos son los que están mirando, pero yo dentro de mí me sentía bien, en verdad.
Truthfully, that is true, and I'm very happy for all the public that came here to help me. But I feel I could have continued, but my corner wanted to stop the fight.
What made Shane Mosley so dominant over you from the first round to the end?
Bueno, yo creo que yo lo mencioné, tiene una gran experiencia. Tal vez los amarres de él ya cuando lo trataba de lastimar ya me abrazaba, ya lo tenía encima y no puede extender bien mis brazos.
I mentioned it. He has a great experience, and also when he got on the inside, he was able to clinch, and I couldn't get him off.
So that he did not give you the room to do what you would like to do.
En verdad, sí, yo lo mencioné, bueno, tiene una gran experiencia, ¿no? Tal vez no fue mi noche, a lo mejor me estudió bien, quiso cortarme la distancia y lo alcanzó a lograr, ¿no?
That is truthfully the case, and he's a great champion, and maybe he studied me well, maybe he wanted to get in close, and that's what happened.
Can you now go forward and fight the rematch with Cotto in your next fight?
Bueno, sí, vamos a platicar con la empresa a ver qué es lo que nos va a tener, pero en verdad solamente tuve una mala noche. Me voy a volver a levantar como lo hice, en verdad, y voy a volver a ser campeón del mundo.
Well, truthfully, that'll be the case. I had a bad night, and once again, I will lift my arms as the champion of the world.
Thank you very much, Tony. Jim?
Well, before tonight, you would have said that the greatest win of Shane Mosley's career was his first victory over Oscar De La Hoya in Staples Center in 1999. Now that's number 2, because Shane came back to Staples Center and produced one of the greatest upsets in recent years, beating Antonio Margarito, who frankly looked unbeatable to most last summer against Miguel Cotto. What a performance, Emmanuel.
I am totally shocked at this performance tonight. Between the 10 rating, I would almost give him a 20. I mean, he was so devastating in his punching power. He looked like a 19-year-old kid, combinations. And as I said, he was smart. He tied him up inside instead of letting the punch and trying to run away where Margarito could, push him a little bit more. Very smart fight. I just can't believe how good he looked tonight. But after seeing what has happened with Bernard Hopkins coming back, losing to Calzaghe, coming right back, and then have a great victory over Kelly Pavlik, and after him losing to Cotto, and then coming back and beat the guy who beat Cotto. I don't know if Oscar can try to come back and do something, but this is good for boxing, though, because this was the year we was in to close out the careers of these guys, and look like they're all coming back like young kids again.
Well, let me ask you a question about something that might not be good for boxing. Just to recap, before the fight, Nassim Richardson, Shane Mosley's trainer, was in Antonio Margarito's dressing room to watch his hands being wrapped. And he pointed out to California State Athletic Commission officials that he saw something being put into the hand wrap which was illegal and did not belong there. And California State Athletic Commission officials confirmed that they found within Antonio Margarito's hand wrap something that they are calling a hard plastic shell. And they removed it from the hand wrap. Ultimately, Margarito's hands had to be wrapped 3 times to achieve a legal wrap, and then he came into the fight. Now, we all remember how those thudding blows in Las Vegas beat down Miguel Cotto last July. There weren't any thudding blows tonight. Did Margarito just cast a large shadow over his giant victory over Cotto last summer?
I don't know. I think it was just Shane, you know, I don't care what his hand would have had. I don't think he would have been that effective with Shane, but I really hate to hear that, because if it's true, and also what bothers me is how this has been happening with boxing commissioners who are right there watching the head wraps, and all these experienced cornermen who are in the opposite dressing room watching has let this go on, because that's the only thing that's serious to me is having plaster Paris, where the actual hand wraps become a solid piece right away. It won't hurt the fighter's hand that is doing the punching, but turns that glove inside to like having bricks inside.
Remember, the last time we saw this was when Bernard Hopkins had Felix Trinidad's hands rewrapped in Madison Square Garden back in 2001. And again, Nassim Richardson, who made the catch tonight, comes out of the Bernard Hopkins camp. Larry, your thoughts?
Well, a few things, Jim. First, if this is the post-Oscar stage of boxing, it looked pretty good from where I was sitting with 20,000 folks here coming to see a fight that they expected to see, if not getting the outcome, which also happened to Oscar, by the way, a while back. The other thought is something that Muhammad Ali's father once wrote in a training camp. Don't criticize the coffee. You may be old and stale someday yourself. Shane Mosley doesn't seem to get old and stale. One of the reasons it's been so hard to get our arms around this whole business with the performance enhancers is that he's always been such an honest fighter in terms of his style, in terms of the opponents he would fight outside the ring, never exaggerating or building himself up. And he is Peter Pan. He has found the fountain, and he ain't stale.
He looks down the road now toward other big money fights in the welterweight division, and you have to wonder, among the various names of people who are watching tonight, Paul Williams got a win over Antonio Margarito in the summer of 2007. Margarito once turned down a $4 million offer to fight Williams and tried to avenge that loss. Will Williams come back to the welterweight division to chase the much shorter Shane Mosley now? It's one of the many interesting questions which emerge from tonight's giant Shane Mosley win over Antonio Margarito, once again before the largest crowd ever to see any event, sports, entertainment, or otherwise, at Staples Center. Thanks very much for being with us, and mark your calendars for these upcoming HBO shows. February 14, it's a Boxing After Dark triple header. Alfredo Angulo faces Ricardo Mayorga. Nate Campbell fights Ali Funica, and Sergio Martinez fights Kermit Cintron. February 17, Real Sports with Bryant Gumbel profiles controversial skier Bodie Miller. February 23, the premiere of the college basketball documentary Battle for Tobacco Road, Duke versus Carolina. February 28, top lightweights Juan Manuel Marquez and Juan Diaz meet. Also, Chris John faces Rocky Juarez. March 2, a brand new show, the BNP Paribas Showdown for the Billie Jean King Cup. Women's tennis with the Williams sisters, Jankovic and Ivanovic. March 7, Boxing After Dark brings you James Kirkland against Joel Julio and Victor Ortiz versus Mike Arnudis. You saw both of them here tonight. And untelevised on the undercard, Robert Guerrero, a former 126-pound titleist from Gilroy, California, KO'd Adel Ruiz 43 seconds into round 1 in his entry into the 130-pound weight class. Guerrero obviously looked good, and now he's added to the March 7 card. It becomes a triple header. March 14th, a rematch between light heavyweight title holder Chad Dawson and Antonio Tarver. Dawson won their first fight. And premiering every Monday, the digital boxing series Ring Light. Watch it, download it, carry it, share it. Need more? How could you? Log on to HBO.com. If you missed any part of tonight's show, you can catch it again on HBO tomorrow morning at 9:45 a.m. That's HBO tomorrow morning at 9:45 a.m. HBO 2 Sunday at 6:30 p.m. Tuesday night at 11:30 p.m. also on HBO 2. Next on HBO, it's Welcome Home Roscoe Jenkins. And now for our entire HBO crew, I'm Jim Lampley, saying so long from Los Angeles, California.
This has been a presentation of HBO Sports.